As you've probably heard by now, Queen's has switched its grading system from percentages to the grade point average, more commonly known as the GPA. This change has cost the university millions of dollars and left many students, including myself, confused about new grading schemes. To find out more on why the administration felt this was a necessary switch, and to better understand the benefits for staff and students, the private eye went looking for answers. The Queen's University website answers basic Q&As about the new GPA system. However, it fails to mention why this new system was introduced and how it directly benefits students. So, we decided to ask Kieran Slobodin, the Vice President of University Affairs in the AMS, to find out more about the GPA.
Queen's University made the decision several years ago to switch to a GPA because they felt that it would help bring Queen's in standard line with what a lot of other universities are doing. There were significant sentiments at the level of Senate, the Senate Committee on Academic Procedures, and the General Senate at large, as well as within the University Registrar's Office, that students were being disadvantaged by not being on the same grading system as a lot of universities were. So when a student applied for a graduate school, they weren't held to the same standard that other students were, and then their marks were skewed because of it. For students, this is brand new. And that's because students are always changing over. For students, this will always feel new, right up until the moment where no one remembers what percentage grades were like. Again, it's a matter of perspective. Certainly the university will argue that the pros are that we're now onto a standard system and that we won't be disadvantaged in applying to graduate schools. For Queen's students, our marks change. Suddenly fails impact our marks much more than before, and that shift in 1% significantly matters. The one optimistic pro that could come out of this is that faculties and teachers and professors will be looking at this as a chance to reevaluate how they mark. Every Queen's student knows the anecdote of X department doesn't give above an 80 or doesn't give above an 84. And that might carry over with a GPA, which is even more dramatic of a change because the difference between a 3.3 and a 3.7 or a 3.7 and a 4.0 is much more significant than an 80 and a 79. But if we take this opportunity to reevaluate those artificial ceilings and we actually evaluate our students on their merits, then it could be positive.
It's us students, of course, who are most affected by the new GPA system. To find out what students are thinking, we stopped and chatted with a few around campus.
Actually, I personally kind of like it. I'm in the process of applying to grad schools this year, and a lot of the requirements are stated in the GPA format. So they'll say that you need like a 3.0 out of a 4.0 or 4.3 grade point system. So it makes it a lot easier for me in my application process to kind of look at my GPA, figure out this is what I have, as opposed to like this is what the school requires for a particular program. So it actually kind of makes it a little bit easier in that sense, which is kind of nice.
I don't think that Queen's implemented it in an effective or informative way with students because honestly I didn't know too much about it, and a lot of times the administration has been sending out these long, lengthy emails that frankly a lot of students don't want to read because they're filled with jargon that's confusing to students.
And I think it would have been nice to see more interaction between administration and students when they're implementing something that affects so many students at once, especially when it's such a widespread changeover like that.
Professors, too, must adjust to the new grading scheme. We sat down with Elizabeth Goodyear Grant, a professor in the Political Studies Department at Queen's, to gather a faculty perspective.
I mean, I guess there's sort of one really obvious benefit in that there are lots of schools, particularly in North America, that use the GPA system. And I guess maybe most prominently sort of big American schools. And so it would make the Queen's transcript more comparable, like easier to understand and interpret. I have heard complaints from my colleagues too because of the change, and a lot of questions about, why are we doing this? I mean, the benefits that may come from this, at least from my perspective, are relatively small, especially for the large-scale change that's been involved for students and faculty, as well as the expenditure that we've undergone to make this transition.
The switch to the GPA has left some students more than a little confused. Nevertheless, most seem to think that once they adjust to the new system, they will be able to better appreciate its benefits, especially for those who are hoping to pursue graduate studies or employment internationally after graduation. As students, it's our job to embrace change. Therefore, as a student body, it's best that we learn about the new GPA to make it work to our advantage. This has been Jo Hatt reporting for the Private Eye.